Greetings, Rigil Agateiades here, and today we got some big news. A new patch just dropped on the PC version of Battle Operations 2, and with it, the buffs for 30 different mobile suits. And it's not merely a very long list of small buffs. Many of them gave entirely new weapons to suits, and in some cases, completely changing their gameplay. We'll go over the important ones over the next week or two, but today I want to start with the one that helped me the most personally. At the same time the most baffling because I never thought it needed a buff at all. Can't say the same for the rest of you though. The suit we're on today is one of the suits I like to use the most, the 550 cost support type, Xeku Eins Type 2 Loadout. But this time at level 4, the version which you guys seem to struggle in particular. With a win rate of 42% across all levels, and a whopping 32.8% rival win rate at level 4, I can see why they decided to buff this suit. No, not actually, because to me this suit is more than sufficient. But I do have a rough idea why the results are bad for everyone else. Two main reasons. First of all, unlike other 700 cost suits, it can't do anything against staggers. No resist move, no special cushioning, not even defense mode or damage control. Once you're hit by a normal stagger, you're very much locked in place. But that's still not the biggest reason why it's not performing well in most hands though. The reason for its poor performance is its main weapon. The main weapon of the Xeku Eins Type 2 loadout is the Beam Smart Gun. And it is probably the hardest gun to use in the game. Firing in a 3-round burst, the damage is very high, and each hit provides 35% stagger, so you can stagger through level 1 maneuver armor. If you hit all 3 shots. That's where the problem is. It's extremely hard to hit all 3 shots. And no joke, it's even harder than the Gebera Tetras. By miles. When using a burst fire weapon like the Gira Doga or Gira Zulu beam machine gun, what you do is press fire and let your movement handle the precise part of aiming. But you can't do that on the Xeku Eins. The Beam Smart Gun has to be fired standing still, so say goodbye to aiming with your left stick. To make it worse, the Xeku Eins is a hover suit, so your aim will drift as you fire. And when you finally got used to those two, now do that at 600 meters range. A full triple whopper in aiming difficulty. It's hard enough for me on mouse and keyboard. I can't even begin to imagine doing that on a controller. And when you finally got used to it like me and can consistently hit shots, the first problem with staggers hits you in the face like a truck and you endure a slow but guaranteed death once your entire team is dead. I should highlight the fact that this suit is remarkably tough though. Now that we know why it's underperforming, we can talk about the buffs. Let's start with the stat buffs. First of all, the thruster speed of the suit is increased from 185 to 200. Probably the buff that helped me the most, the gigantic increase allows the Xeku Eins to stay with his team at all times. You really want to do that on the Xeku Eins, because it is a guaranteed death sentence when staggered alone. The skill's thruster output increase and reaction booster program are also given to the level 3 and 4 versions, so you're keeping up even at 700 cost. Then, instead of direct stat buffs, you have a bunch of extra custom part slots. With 2 extra close range and 1 extra each of mid-range and long-range slots. This increase scales with level, giving us 5 extra close range, 1 extra mid-range, and 4 extra long-range slots at level 4. These give us even more freedom when setting up custom parts. In fact, we have so many slots that I couldn't fill them up completely. Only if I had more extra mid-range slots to put in the big parts. Then we have the buffs that help you guys more than I do, the weapon buffs. While the main weapon did not get any easier to use, all the sub-weapons were buffed, so you have plenty to use even after whiffing your 3-round burst. First of all, the Xeku Eins beam rifle. The damage increase is nice, but the big ones are the increase in stagger accumulation and heat rate reduction. with no normal stagger and a mere 5% stagger accumulation before the buffs. This beam rifle used to only be extra damage between 3 round bursts, but with the leap from 5 to 35% stagger, and the hit rate reduction so you can fire up to 4 shots consecutively. Even if you missed the 3 round burst, you can now just swap to the beam rifle and add in 3 more shots. As for instant staggers, we have the beam rifle grenade launcher and the Type 2 loadout club. Huge buff to the club, while it used to be the same as the 200 cost Sturmfaust. With this patch, the swap time is reduced from 3 seconds to 1 second. That and the reduced reload time on the grenade launcher gives us more instant staggers when things get close, greatly improving the self-defense on the suit. That ends the list of buffs, but to be honest, that is already over the top. At least for me. With plenty of damage before the buffs when in my own hands, the new buffs are so much that I'm not catching up in my gameplay. Beforehand, the beam rifle can only be fired once between 3 round bursts, and changing that habit to 2 at a time will take some getting used to. And I haven't even pulled out the Sturmfaust once, so we can do even more damage than what I'm already doing. And the Xeku Eins isn't just about damage. While the damage output is simply outrageous after the buffs, the Xeku Eins defense is also a huge part to its strength. With so many custom part slots available, we now have all the space we need to put in overtuned beam armor on top of our 50 beam defense. It also has a skill that no native 700 cost suits have, frontline support system at level 2. Reducing the respawn time of friendlies by 10% while it's on the field. That's almost 2 seconds reduction given the long respawn times at high cost. How useful that is depends on the flow of the battle, but nevertheless a good thing to have. Finally, factor in the map we're on, and it's a perfect game for the Xeku Eins, with the long sightlines along the borders letting us make the most out of the 600 meters range on the beam smart gun. A bit harder to hit full burst at maximum range, but that's just a skill issue, isn't it? Might have gone a bit too far this time, but that number sums up well what the new buffs did to the Xeku Eins. While it might just be how I'm already used to the beam smart gun in the first place, I'm sure if you play it like a good old support type, you can do at least 120,000 in space. That's less than half of what I did, not a high bar, isn't it? With continuous, overwhelming damage thanks to the hit rate reduction on the beam rifle, and incredible defense in return with the new custom part slots, the Xeku Eins Type 2 is a monster when it comes to trading numbers. Probably a lot harder on ground and at its native cost of 550 thanks to the side combo Dogas, but bring it to space and the Xeku Eins ain't losing to nobody. If you hit your 3 round bursts properly. That's it from me today. I'm sorry if you're using a controller because you will be missing out on a lot of potential on this fantastic mobile suit. And latest.